Hi, I'm Logan Brown, and today I'm interviewing my grandmother, Joanne Brown. She was born in 1944, and today she's going to share some of her life experiences with us. So now let's begin. First, has there been any hard time in the family?
Well, when I was a little girl, my father was a door-to-door salesman, and he sold goods for the home. And it was a case where the people would pay $1 down and $1 a week. And he'd have to go back and collect the money from these people. And so a lot of times our finances were up and sometimes they were down. We had good times and bad times. In fact, we lived on the second floor of a 2-bedroom apartment. And this apartment only had heat in the kitchen. It was a big space heater, so if you went into any other room, you were freezing. And when we wanted to take a bath, we got out our big metal bucket, filled it with water, and put it on the stove to heat it up so that we could have a warm bath. We didn't have hot running water. So I would say probably the hardest thing was the up and down finances in my family. I remember, I want to add one other thing. I remember when one time when my brother had a pair of shoes, his only pair of shoes had a hole in them in the sole. And I can still picture my father cutting out the cardboard so that he'd be able to wear these shoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. What is a family tradition that has been passed down from generation to generation?
My grandfather came from Italy in 1890 when he was 18 years old. And he came from a family of bakers. And he settled in South Philadelphia. And he eventually bought a home in South Philadelphia and opened up a bakery. His family lived on the second floor. The storefront was on the first floor, and in the basement was where they baked all the goods. And his specialty was oreganade. And oreganade is Italian bread that has oregano in it, and olive oil, and garlic, and some paprika. And you roll it up after you put it on the bread, roll it up and bake it and then cut it. And he made that. He was known for making that. And he taught my father how to do it. And my father made it for special holidays, especially Christmas. And my father taught your grandfather, my husband, how to do it. And your grandfather wanted to teach your father, his son, who had no interest in it. So he taught his nephews to do it, Rick and Robbie. And we still have that. They make that every Christmas, and that's our family tradition.
Wow, that's really neat. Is there any family possessions that has been passed down from generation to generation?
There really aren't many, or any I should say, because my grandparents, the 4 grandparents I had, came from Italy, and they couldn't bring many things with them. They were very poor to begin with. And my mother's mother died when she was 8 years old, so there weren't a lot of things in her family, and then the Depression came. So I only have a few items from my mother, maybe a piece of furniture and some jewelry and some dishes. Nothing old.
What country is your side of the family originally from?
My father's family came from Calabria, Italy, and my mother's family came from Tuscany. One was the northern part and one was the southern part. And because one was from the south and one was from the north, they rarely agreed on how to say some things in Italian. They also had different ways to cook certain Italian dishes, which led to a lot of times they had disagreements because of those differences. So we didn't learn how to speak Italian because we couldn't decide which word to learn.
What is your favorite memory as a little girl?
My favorite memory is of being awakened on Christmas morning while it was still dark out by my older brother, who came in to get me up so we could go and see what was under the Christmas tree. And we went to the living room as we were freezing because the only heat was in the kitchen. And he plugged in the tree lights, and there beneath the tree was a beautiful doll. And I just had such a wonderful feeling being there with my brother on this special morning. And I went to sleep many nights remembering that experience with him. It was a blessing.
That's great. Yeah. Okay, next question. On your side of the family, is there a person who stands out to you that was always fun to be around of? And if so, can you share a time that you had fun with them?
My brother was always a really fun guy. He loved to play a lot of games. He liked to compete. And I have a really nice memory of one time when we had a very deep snow. I was about 8 years old and he was 14. He was 6 years older than I was. And I was waiting for him to come home from school because he was in high school. And when he got off the bus, I went running toward him and I said, hurry up and get changed. We're going to have fun in the snow. And he did, and we made a lot of trails in the snow, the two of us, so that we could play tag. And our friends from the neighborhood came in, and we were playing tag and having a really great time. It was freezing out. And a little later, we got our sleds and we went into the woods. And it was really nice to go into the woods because there was a creek back there that had frozen solid. So we would go down the big embankment and then slide onto the creek and have a really good slide on that frozen water. And it was really a fun time. And I remember too that afterward we went home and my father always made hot chocolate for us when we came in from the snow. So that was a beautiful memory too.
Yeah, I could see how that was a fun memory. I really enjoy the snow as well. So, who helped you lead you to your salvation?
My dear friend, Aunt Dolores, led me to the Lord. It was by her influence that I came to know Jesus Christ as my Savior, because she was my dear friend who would always call me and we would talk for an hour about a lot of different things. And she would always sneak in things about the Lord because she was trying to influence me. And because I loved her so much, I was willing to sit there on the phone and listen to her go on and on about God. Well, she invited me to a Bible study at her church, and I went and I started to read the Bible. And then one time she invited me to go to her church to hear an evangelist speak. And the night he spoke was the night that he welcomed people to come to the altar to accept Jesus. I didn't go to the altar, but he said, if anyone has questions, I'll be glad to speak to you in the pastor's office. So I went to the pastor's office and had my questions answered, and I accepted Jesus as my Savior. And I cried and cried and cried because that burden of guilt was taken right off of my shoulders. It was a beautiful night for me.
Wow. I can see how she was such a good influence in your life.
She was.
Yeah. What countries have you visited and which was your favorite?
I've been to Canada and Jamaica, France and Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Spain, Morocco, and Italy. What would you guess was my favorite?
Italy.
For sure, that was my favorite. And the reason why it was my favorite is because I went to Florence, where my relatives are still living, who have never come to the United States. And I was able to stay with a great aunt who could not speak English, and I could not speak Italian. So it made it a little hard to communicate, but we did communicate with facial expressions and gestures because we're Italian. It was really a fun time.
That's awesome. I would really like to go to Italy one day. I find that would be awesome.
I hope you do.
In terms of entertainment during your childhood, and how is it different from today's entertainment?
Well, one of our fun entertainments was going to the drive-in theater. And that's where you have a big screen out in basically a parking lot. And you'd go there in your car and sit in your car and watch the movie. We made our own popcorn, which was nice, and it was very relaxing because we were in our comfortable car seats. It was fun. We had black and white TV only, no color TV for us, and they only had programs in the evening. We didn't have TV on for 24 hours. We didn't have access to it, and it was still a lot of fun. It was amazing because it was something so new to us. For the outdoor play, girls would play hopscotch or jump rope. The boys mainly played tag or sandlot baseball. There were no organized sports for younger children, not until we went into high school. And we played card games like Pinochle and 500 Rummy, and we played badminton and ping pong, and these are things that you all do today. But the difference is most of your games now are played on your cell phone, on your computer, or maybe an Xbox. And that's a big difference.
Yeah. That's funny how much movie theaters have changed, especially considering how like they're reclining chairs now and how you had to pull up your car again.
Would you like to have the experience of going to a drive-in theater?
I would like to try it, but it would surely be different than what we're used to.
Doesn't sound as appealing, does it?
No. And what was your first job, and what was the salary earned, and how is that compared to today's salary?
My first real job was the job I had after I graduated from college, and that was teaching 9th and 10th grade English. And my salary was $6,300 a year. And to me, that seemed like a whole lot of money. It's the most I had ever seen in my life so far. And I retired about 7 years ago. And I was teaching 3rd grade at the time. And I was earning $80,000 a year. Of course, that was a lot of money too, but the cost of things had changed from when I first started to teach to when I stopped teaching. So everything was more expensive, so that money went just as fast as the $6,300 went.
That's crazy how the difference of salaries was from then to how it is now. And like that's a giant difference in money.
What are you hoping to start at when you go out to work for your first job? A real job.
I don't know. It would be nice to be like 90,000, 100,000. That would be nice.
Yeah, right now that seems like a good start,
yeah,
doesn't it?
that would be a nice start. Starting out, yeah. So thank you for sharing your life experiences with me. It was very interesting to learn about how your life was, and thank you. I appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.